Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty and today I'm going to show you how to make a really cute stars and moon pattern in Procreate using the diamond method. So I'm using the pattern maker canvas, which I sell in my Etsy shop. There's a link for that in my bio. It comes with these texture overlays, which if I just change the background colour, you can see we've got these gorgeous texture overlays up there. They're all seamless at 12 inches. Turn those off for a second, put the background colour back to something light, and this also comes with this diamond, which you can set this up for yourself. You just need to draw a diamond that goes all the way up to the edges of your canvas. You can draw this yourself if you don't have the pattern maker canvas. It just needs to go all the way to the edge of the canvas in all of the corners. So you can just, if you don't have this, you can just freehand something like this. It doesn't have to be exact as long as it goes off the edges. Just to give you a rough idea of this diamond that we're going to be using. As I say, if you have the pattern maker canvas, it comes with all these labelled up layers so that you know exactly where to do each drawing for each part. So we're going to start in our draw here first, and I'm going to use these stamp shapes that I've made in advance. I'm going to put those in my freebie library and you can get those over on my website. So I'm going to start with, let's do the moon there, there, and there. And these are on a floating layer, they're not attached to the diamond yet, so we can move these around. I'm going to go to my select tool, I'm on freehand, and I'm just going to draw around this one, and I think we'll have this one pointing the other way. So let's have him down there, and I don't think I want the angles of these quite so extreme, so let's have that one pointing slightly down, that one slightly up. So once you've got them in that sort of position, we are going to merge it down with our sketch diamond, and those are now on the same layer as this diamond, so we can move them around and transform them because there's pixels going all the way to the edge of this layer. So we're going to duplicate this one, going to snap it down and into that corner, making sure that all of these are snapping and lining up perfectly. So you see the orange lines here, that's how you know it's snapping exactly. And because this diamond is precise, this will give you an extra visual clue that everything is all lining up properly. So then we do duplicate that bottom layer again, bring it over to the top right, duplicate this one, and bring it down to the bottom right. And then we're going to merge those four layers together. So now we've got our moons all nicely spaced out. These ones here are the only ones that we'll need to draw in order to have all these other ones. But you probably can see that, you know, we've got 1, 2, and these will just repeat off there. But on this layer, we're only going to have one. We're going to have a gap here. What we'd like to be able to do is to draw in this corner. So we've got a moon that is repeated there, 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 and there. We can't draw off the edges of the canvas in Procreate like you can in Photoshop, but we can bring the edges into the middle, and that's okay because we're doing this on our sketch layer. So we're going to duplicate this top layer, snap it to that side, and then we're going to do the same to the other side. And now we've got this X going down the middle, and we're going to do the same with the bottom layer. So now you can see we've brought the edges into the middle. Instead of a diamond, we've got this X where they all meet, and that is where we want to put our final moon. So let's go back to our brush, and let's do this on a layer above so we can move it around. Just tap one in there, and I want this one going the same way as all the ones on that layer, so we'll flip it horizontally, and I think let's have it pointing down a bit, maybe turn off snapping. There we go. So now we can merge that down onto this bottom layer. I'm going to delete this top one, and then we need to put this X back into a diamond. So let's duplicate with snapping back on again, and snap that over there, and then bring this one over there, and you can make sure that all your diamonds are still looking correct there. And then we can bring this out and offset it like we did the first time. Just snapping it into each of these corners. Pinch those together. So now let's add some stars. We're going to go back onto our bottom layer here. I'm going to grab the star here. As I said, both of these will be in the Freebie Library for you to download for free. And I'm just going to put a star in here, 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 and here. And then we can use the duplicate to fill the rest of the canvas. So again, we can duplicate and drag these out. There we go, and that is our basic sketch done now. So I am going to sort out a background colour for this. I'm going to use this blue for the background colour that I've been using for the sketch, so now that's disappeared. Let's set the blend mode of this to add so we can see it. There we go, we can see all those now. Let's turn our spare diamond on and we'll unlock that one. And I'm just going to invert the colour, change it from black to white. So there we go, we can see that on there now. And if I turn the textures back on, you'll see how that background is going to look really cute. So we're going to start illustrating our main motifs now. I'm going to turn the opacity down on this outside layer. So these ones here are the only ones we're going to have to illustrate. So let's turn our pattern layer on. I'll leave that label on so you can always see where I'm working. And on this layer, let's label it up. And I'm just going to grab this, and from my pattern maker brush set, I'm going to use the tracing crayon, but you could use any brush for this. And I'm just going to trace around these moon shapes, and I'm going to hold until that snaps into a nice curve, and then draw this one and hold again. And the reason I want to trace over these instead of just using that stamp is because when you use the stamp brushes, you lose a little bit of resolution. If I just turn the textures off, you can see there that's quite a soft edge, even though this is the same brush. This tracing crayon is the brush I used to make it, because it's changing the size of it. When you change the size of the brush, you're never going to get that nice intact crispy edge that you get with your textured brush. So that's why I like to use these brushes in the sketch layer, but I still want to draw my final motifs like this. So just make sure I'm on the proper layer again. You see where it went wobbly there? This is going to bring that back into the right place. Just do that bit there. And now I'm going to fill these. Normally I would fill these in Photoshop, but because there's only a few, we'll do the whole thing in Procreate, and I'll just trace around them. If you are interested in learning how to fill these in Photoshop, if that's where you take your patterns after, I've got a Photoshop action where you can fill these all in with just one click. And I know you can obviously adjust the threshold. I'll just show you. I know that adjusting the threshold is the thing, but even if you bring it up, even if you bring it up as high as it will go without filling the whole screen, you're still not going to get it all the way to the edge. So yeah, these will still need to be traced around, or as I said, if you use Photoshop, I have a video showing of how to set up a Photoshop action to fill these in with one click when you are in your editing stage in Photoshop. So there we go, I've got all my moons on one layer, and then I'm going to do another layer for the stars. I'm going to use this pale blue colour here, and I'm just going to trace over these. Starting out on the points and then increasing the pressure as I come into the middle of the star. find I can draw a bit smoother when I'm drawing away from myself rather than towards myself. So I'm going to turn this around so I'm drawing upwards on all of these. It's always good to figure out which is your good direction for drawing nice smooth lines in. It's not quite as smooth as I normally draw because I've got this screen protector on here to stop reflections and glare on the screen when I'm filming. I personally prefer drawing on the glass, and I'm not a big fan of these paper screen protectors. I only put them on so that we don't get the reflection of the camera while we're filming. They also wear down your Apple Pencil tips. So once you've got all of your stars done, we can use colour drop to fill those in. We've nearly got all of those edges filled, but not quite. So let's just trace over these to fill in those gaps. It's close enough. Close enough for jazz, as my son's music teacher says. So then I'm going to add another layer above these stars. And for this one, I'm going to use the mini dot brush from my Pattern Maker canvas set. But if you don't have this brush, you can use, it's going to be a slightly smoother brush because this one has a bit of texture built into it. But if you don't have that one, you can go down here into the airbrushing set, find your hard airbrush at the bottom, duplicate it, and then this one here, I have just brought the spacing all the way up to the max. So instead of drawing a line, we can draw some of these dots. And then in your Apple Pencil settings, make sure size and opacity are set to 0 and none respectively. So then you can use this one to draw some nice little dots there. As I said, they are going to be perfectly smooth ones, but that's okay. If you have the Pattern Maker brush set, then you can use the mini dot brush that comes with that one. So I'm just going to draw some little stars in around the canvas. These do need to be white, so I'm going to just draw these in and then change the colour on those afterwards. So let's alpha lock this layer, rename it first. We'll call this one mini stars. So then we can alpha lock those and fill them with our white. Let's grab that by double tapping up there. And now those stars are white. So what we want to do now is I would like to create a nice soft glow behind all our celestial bodies that we have here. So I'm going to hide the pattern label on this layer, and I'm going to duplicate this whole group, and I'm going to tap on it and I'm going to flatten it. And that's still alpha locked, so I can fill that with the white colour that we've got. And then I'm going to drag it back to the bottom of this group just underneath the moons. And then I'm going to un-alpha lock it, and I'm going to come up here to my adjustments. I'm going to choose Gaussian blur, and I'm going to drag this across to about 15%. And you'll see that that's put a really cute soft glow around all the stars and moons. Because these mini stars are quite small, that 15% has spread it out too much. So what I'm going to do, because you can't really see those, I'm going to duplicate the mini stars layer. I'm going to un-alpha lock this one, if I can. And then go back up to my adjustments, choose Gaussian blur again, and then I'm going to drag this one up to about 8%. So that's made those a bit more visible. Now, how do we illustrate these? Well, what we can do, I want you to swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all. We're going to copy everything on this canvas. We can turn our pattern and sketch off now, and we can turn on our extra layer. Tap on that one, swipe down with 3 fingers, and we're going to paste that right back in there. Then we're going to duplicate it, drag it over to the left and snap it. And then we're going to drag this one over to the right and snap it, and then we can pinch those two together. And now we just need to draw our moon in on here. Just the same as the other ones. Fill it in. Just draw around the edges here. And then we can duplicate this layer, the bottom one. We can alpha lock, grab our white and fill it in, take the alpha lock off, go up to our Gaussian blur, and we can take that up to 15%. And then we can hide those two markers there. So that is all the illustrating done for this pattern. What we need to do now is build out a preview of it. So we're going to duplicate this extra layer because we always want to leave an intact copy. And we can tap on the layer group and we can flatten this one. And now if I turn the other one off, we've just got this all flattened onto one layer. I'm going to drag that out above my main layer group. So then we can turn our pattern group on, and I'm going to duplicate this group, tap to flatten it, and then I'm going to also drag that out above that and turn off our layers. Now we're done with those. So we've just got these flattened patterns up here and the extra, and what we want to do is put this extra back onto the edges. And we're doing this with a copy, so we're not messing up and cutting up our original artwork on the layers below. So I've got any old brush. If I'm on the right layer, that one there, I'm just going to put a mark in each corner over here, going right off the edges, both up there and then down here. Then we can duplicate this extra layer, snap it over to the edge there, make sure you can see those orange lines, and then we're going to do the same with the other one and snap that over here to the right. Then we can pinch those two together, and I'm going to erase that little extra mark. And then we can pinch that down with the main pattern layer. Now we can un-alpha lock that and put those same marks into the corners there. And then with this one, we're going to duplicate this around the canvas, dragging it out into the corners. And this is how we're building out our pattern tile with just those few motifs illustrated. Normally I would do this in Photoshop. Once I'm at this stage where I've got my pattern drawn and my extra bit drawn, I would take this into Photoshop, and instead of flattening it and moving it around to do this, I would build it out with smart objects, which I have a Skillshare class on. If you'd like to know more about that, I'll put a link in the description. So once you've flattened those, you can erase those two corner marks, and we'll just erase those ones that were underneath there. Then you can pinch those two together, and that is our seamless pattern tile built out. I'm going to turn our texture layers on now, and you'll see how gorgeous this is going to look. It looks like something out of a children's storybook. So that's the overlay layers from the Pattern Maker canvas. So I'm going to swipe down now to copy all, and I'm going to tap on the topmost layer, swipe down again, and I'm going to paste these. And I'm going to drag them into the middle there until they snap. I'm going to duplicate that one, snap it to the side, pinch those together, duplicate, and drag those down to the bottom and pinch those two together. And now, if we zoom in, you can see we've got that really cute stars and moons pattern.